Hi friends, I hope you're all doing okay and are well. If you're here for the first time, hello, my name's Ivy. Thank you for pressing on my video, returning subscribers. You know how I feel. I'm so very thankful that you all can join me for this video. And it's easy to subscribe. Just press the subscribe button, it's free. And also press the notification bell, and that allows YouTube to notify you when I upload a video. Today I thought I would do a video on films that I've enjoyed watching over the years, and some of them have been intense, but still I've enjoyed them. And when you watch a film and it stays with you, you never forget it. These are some of those. Okay, they're in no particular order. I'm going to start with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, this film was made in 1975, I think, and it stars Jack Nicholson. When it was made, there was a lot of what we would say today, call them stars, well-known celebrities. Yeah, there's a lot of them in the film, but Jack Nicholson. So he stars, Jack Nicholson plays Randall McMurphy, and he fakes being a sociopath so he can serve his sentence in a mental institution, okay? And before Nicholson's character, Randall, comes to the institution, the rest of the patients, they're subdued, they're just doing their thing, going about their day, not being a threat or anything like that. But once Randall is in the mix, he turns things up. He tries to get them to stand up for themselves, to enjoy their life as much as they can. And there is one particular nurse that cannot stand Randall, and she's called Nurse Ratched. When I say the woman is not nice, she's not nice. And there's also this, I think he was like 6'5", American Indian that doesn't say a word throughout the entire movie. He just looks, and he just looks. He's brilliant, and he has a presence. And Randall's always talking to him and everything, and he's just looking at Randall and as if to go, huh? But you do see, even though I think his character in the film is Chief Bromden, and even though he doesn't say a word, you can see that there's a friendship building there. Anyway, there's one of the patients, that Randall really likes, and he ends up spending the night with a prostitute. And Nurse Ratched finds out, and she starts to humiliate him and say that, she's going to tell his mother, and she's really horrible to him. And this guy ends up killing himself. And that's when Randall, Jack Nicholson, attacks her, almost strangling her. And then it's then that, because of that and other things, they lobotomize him. And it's so sad, he's just like a robot. There's nothing, or a vegetable, as they say. He's just lost that his himness, if you know what I mean. And yeah, from what he was, joyful and naughty and boisterous, to just sitting there, you know, and there's nothing, and everybody just gets sad, and pretty much they go back to how they were, the other inpatients. They go back to how they were before Randall came into their lives. Anyway, because the friendship between Chief Bromden and Randall, you know, it grew. The chief doesn't want him to live like this. And, you know, and I think somewhere in the movie, Randall says, I wouldn't want to live if they, you know, lobotomized him, which they have done. And, yeah, there's this big sink-like thing, yeah, and Chief Bromden ends up suffocating Randall's cat, Randall McMurphy, you know, because he knew he wouldn't want to be this way. And there's this big sink-like thing in there, and with all his might, Chief Bromden just picks it up, and water's everywhere, and just throws it at the wall. The wall disappears, and he just starts running. He's like, bye. He's gone, and you just see him running in the you know, outside. But it's a very good film, very good. You know, a little bit funny in places, but it's sad. You know, they just took away what made him. And yeah, it was a film that I was hesitant to watch, but once I watched it, I really enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm looking everywhere but at the camera. Apologies. Okay, what's the next one? Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. That film was made in 2006. Stars Will Smith, and it also stars his son, who is so cute. Jaden Smith. Okay, I'm just seeing if I can find what I wrote about it. So Will Smith stars as what's he called? Chris Gardner, who is pretty genius, but he put his life savings into something that didn't work out. So he lost all his money and his home, and his wife left him with his little son. So, you know, they have to go to homeless shelters and things. But he does get this internship at this firm. And, you know, it's hard, but he's making do. And I remember there's one point in the film where one of his bosses got a taxi, a cab fare, and he says, oh, the boss says, can Will Smith character, you know, lend him $5 or something, and that's all he's got, but he gives it. Anyway, he's working on this thing. I can't remember what it is, but he's working on it, you know, every spare moment he's got, and trying to raise his son and keep a roof over their heads. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the internship finishes, and they call Will into the office, and Will's like thinking he hasn't got the job, but then the boss says, would you like to work here? You know, we're offering you the job. And just the emotion. Let me tell you, Will Smith can do emotion, and it gets me every time. At the same point in the movie, the tears just well up, and he's like, yeah. And he's walking through the door because, you know, he wants to go and tell the good news to his son. He's walking to the door, and the boss says, oh, Chris, here's that $5 bucks I owed you, or $5. And then you just see Will Smith walking, you know, his character, Chris Gardner, walking in the street, and he's clapping his hands above his head, and it's just like, yes. You know, it's an uplifting movie. I would say about perseverance, not giving up hope. And Chris Gardner, he sold what he was working on. You know, he had a company, he sold it and became a multi-millionaire. So I really love that film. It's uplifting, hopeful and emotional, and it's a great ending. Okay, the next film is called The Ghosts of Mississippi, and it was made in 1996. Now it stars Whoopi Goldberg and Alec Baldwin. Now, Medgar Evers was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement, and he was murdered at the hands of a racist called Byron Dilla Beckwith. Now, this is based on a true story. There was a Medgar Evers. Now, back in those times, you know, it was an all-white jury, and the guy, Byron, was acquitted, even though there was a lot of evidence to convict him. He was acquitted. You know, he would go around town saying, yeah, I killed me a N-word, you know, and he was proud of it. And his poor wife had to listen, Whoopi Goldberg's character had to listen to that for years and years and years. And she would ask lawyer after lawyer to take on her husband's case, and they would all turn her down. She never gave up on the fight for justice for her husband, Medgar Evers. So, you know, she's constantly asking lawyers until she gets to one particular lawyer, DeLauter, who is played by Alec Baldwin, to take her case. And Medgar Evers was murdered on June 12th, 1963. In 1994, Byron Dilla Beckwith was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. And at this time, the man was in his 80s, but his wife eventually got justice for Medgar Evers some 30 years later. Wow. Next one. Oh, The Greatest Story Ever Told. I love it. I just love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Max von Sydow plays Jesus. And it just tells the story of Jesus's life, you know. And I just love it. I love the different stories, you know, when you see when he's crucified, he's betrayed by Judas Iscariot in the Garden of Gethsemane, and, you know, you see the Last Supper and him, Jesus, getting crucified and all the names they taunted him. I love it. It's like a 3-hour film. But I always look forward to it coming on, you know. I'm like, okay. I love it. And I think John Wayne was right at the end. You don't even see him turn round. You don't see his face in the film when Jesus has died on the cross, you know, when the heavens open and everything, and you just hear this voice go, truly, he was the Son of God. And I'm thinking, whose is that voice? Whose is that voice? And then eventually found out it was John Wayne. But you know, for like 5 minutes work, he got paid like £250,000. All right for some, innit? Moving on. Footsteps in the Fog. This was made in like 1955, so it's black and white, but you know, I think they did that Technicolor thing. I prefer it in black and white. And now it's starring my mum's favourite actor, Stuart Granger. And he plays Stephen Lowry. Now, he ends up killing his wife. He murders his wife. His wife, you know, she has a bit of money and he wants it, but he doesn't want the wife. So he ends up murdering her. He poisons her. yeah, but his housemaid finds out, and she's a bit savvy, and she says, you know, there was a chief housemaid, and she says to him, get rid of her, I want to be the chief housemaid. And he's not happy, but he does it, and what this maid wants is to eventually become his wife. But the character Lowry has secretly met someone else, and he wants to marry her, so again he sets out to poison the maid, but things go awry. Okay, things go awry, and the ending is really good. It doesn't turn out as he had hoped, and he wants to implicate her, you know, for trying to attempt to kill him. So he ends up taking the poison, because he sends her out for something, thinking she'll only be like 5-10 minutes, something like that. And he drinks the poison when she's gone, thinking that when she comes back, you know, she's going to find him there, ring an ambulance, and he's going to say, she tried to kill me. But the poor maid gets waylaid, and it suddenly dawns on him, oh no, he's taken this poison, and he knows he's dying. And, you know, she gets back, and it's all gone Pete Tong, and, you know, he's dead or dying, and yeah, serves him right. But it's a really good film. I like that one. Witness for the Prosecution, I love. It's another classic black and white movie, but, you know, they made it into Technicolor. Stars two powerhouses at the time, Tyrone Powers and Marlene Dietrich. And it also stars Charles Lawton. He's in another one of my choices, but it stars Charles Lawton as a lawyer or solicitor. It's yeah, and Tyrone Powers, sorry, my mind just went blank. Tyrone Powers is accused of murdering this wealthy woman, and so Charles Lawton takes on his case. Marlene Dietrich plays his girlfriend, you know, and there's a twist to it, because at the end of the court case, it's like a courtroom drama type thing based in the courtroom, and at the end of it, Tyrone Powers' character is found not guilty, but then it's revealed that he is guilty. And then Marlene Dietrich's character was in love with him, but Tyrone, his you know, he goes on to meet somebody else and throws her to the wayside, so she ends up stabbing him, and then Charles Lawton says, okay, that was in self-defense, and he goes on to defend her. But good film. Okay, the next one. Wow, I was still at school, and I think we were on 6 weeks holidays, 6 weeks summer holidays. And this was a mini series, and I think it was the first time it was aired over here, and it was called Roots. If you know, you know. Oh my gosh, I was mesmerized. It was intense. The acting was superb. I never forgot LeVar Burton playing the young Kunta Kinte, and then the mantle falling to what's his name, John Amos. Honestly, playing the older Kunta Kinte, I just loved it. It was so powerful, so intense. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes, as one does. Yeah, it was so powerful and so intense. You know, of slaves and how they were treated. You know, there was at one point, because Kunta Kinte kept running away, and at one point they chopped off his foot so he couldn't run anywhere. wow, it was powerful, you know, powerful, and it was intense. And I remember going back to school, everybody was talking about Roots. Everybody. Didn't matter your colour. Did you watch that show, Roots? Everyone was talking about it. It was all around the school. Even the teachers, you passed the teachers. Did you watch that show, Roots? Oh, you know, it was amazing, amazing. What else have I got? Hobson's Choice. I love this film. This is one of my all-time favourite films. Another black and white film, and this stars Charles Lawton. If you don't know who Charles Lawton is, I think the film, apart from this one, that I remember him in is when he played the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Esmeralda, the bells, the bells. Well, yeah, it stars Charles Lawton. Now, he's a widower, Henry Hobson, and he refuses to let his 3 daughters get married because he doesn't want to pay the settlements, and he's quite lazy. So they try to outsmart him. Now, his oldest daughter, she's brilliant. Her mind's made up. She knows what she wants, and she's out to get it. And she's got her eyes set on a character played by John Mills. Yeah. And then, you know, she tells the husband to be, yes, we're getting married. And he's like, okay, Maggie, okay. And she tells her father, and he's not best pleased because John Mills' character is his best employee, you know. But it's just, and then she tries to get her other 2 sisters married off as well. And it's a lovely film. I absolutely enjoy it, you know. And her and Will get married, and then they launch a competing business which does very well. And yeah, it takes a while for the father to come round, but eventually he does. And I'm telling you, Hobson's Choice is one of my most favourite movies. You know, like I say, it is black and white, but it's a lovely film. Okay, this next one. Guess who's coming to dinner with the late great Sidney Poitier, and it also starred what's he called? Spencer Tracy. Yeah. So this movie centres around the Draytons family. Yeah, Spencer Tracy, who are seemingly liberal and open-minded. Then their daughter Joanna returns home with her fiance, who is black, Mr. Sidney Poitier. And the mother accepts him straight away, but Spencer Tracy's character, no, he doesn't, you know. He's deeply troubled by the prospect that his daughter is going to marry a black man. You know, they're going to have an interracial marriage. And the film explores the reactions and reservations of not just the white family, but also of the black family, Sidney Poitier's family also. But it's a very good film, you know, still relevant. See no evil, hear no evil. I loved the 2 of them. Not Sidney Poitier, what's he called? Richard Pryor. I loved Richard Pryor when he worked with Gene Wilder. I thought the chemistry on screen was perfect, you know, and it's one of the funniest films I've watched. That film can make me laugh out loud. I've seen a lot of comedies over the years, and I'm just like, okay, you know, I might smile a bit, but this film just makes me laugh out loud. They were both on point. I've written a little bit of it. Yeah. So they are a pair of men, one who is hearing impaired and the other who is visually impaired. So Richard Pryor is the blind man and Gene Wilder is the deaf man. So if you want a fun film that's going to make you laugh out loud, see no evil, hear no evil. Okay, I'm going to end on a film that I love. I never tire of watching it, never, even though it's outdated now. I never, ever tire of watching it. And there have been remakes. I think there was a black and white version, and then this version was made, and the film is called The Thing. Okay, The Thing. If you know, you know. I love it. It stars a long-haired Kurt Russell and Keith David. Now, they're scientists and they work like out in Antarctic, someplace cold, you know. And they're doing what they do, and they find this thing in the ice. Now, if that was me, I'd have left the thing where it was, but no, they had to go and dig it up. And so they dig it up and they bring it inside. Eventually, the thing defrosts and brings with it mayhem. All right? And, oh, it can take on, it can look like any of them. It can take on human form. Let me tell you, the first time I saw this film, there's a part with the dog just saying, "Don't be eating." Yeah, and it can take on human form. Oh, it still gives me the jitters even now. And the music, I think it's John Carpenter, is it, that wrote it? The music as well. But yeah, you just see, and it takes on each one of them, and when it takes them on, it kills them. But oh, and the only way you can tell who is the thing is by doing a blood test. Oh, I love it. I love it. There is a remake of it, an up-to-date one, but no, my heart is with The Thing. And it's brilliant because at the end, there's only 2 men left. 2 men. And you're thinking, is it Kurt? Is it Keith? So Kurt Russell's left at the end, and superb actor called Keith David. And you hear the music, and the 2 of them are just looking at each other, and neither trusts the other. It's brilliant. I love it. I don't care how long ago it was made. I will never tire of watching The Thing. Anyway, they are some of the movies that I just wanted to share with you. You know, if you've watched any of them, let me know. Or if you know any good movies that I might like to watch, I'd love to hear about them. So, my friends, look after yourselves and each other. Do not let the negative people win because they're just jealous. Thank you. Oh, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please think about subscribing. It's free. Just press the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload my videos. My friends, let's keep smashing this life and, you know, have a lovely day. I will see you in a brand new video. You know, I appreciate your time. I truly do. Lots of love. Mwah. God bless. And I'll see you soon. Bye for now.